Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today's video is a slightly special one. I am currently recording this the day before, not the day before, the day of the Juventus Real Madrid Club World Cup game. As the game takes place for me at basically 3 a.m. I'm currently recording this the afternoon before, which would probably be nighttime in the United States and early morning in the UK. Um, just a little bit of clarification there. I decided, you know what? I am very excited for the Juventus game. The preview would have already dropped by now, obviously, and the game probably would have already finished by now. To be fair, I don't know when I'm gonna upload this. Do I want to, upload this on the same day as the preview, which is going out, soon? I don't know, but it's either gonna be that or the day after, which would be the day after the Real Madrid game's results. So yeah, I don't know about that. I'll figure that out. But today's video is sort of a question that I have really been wondering in my mind. That sort of I don't think many people have picked up on, really. I think we are all talking about so many different aspects at this Club World Cup. Apart from the tournament itself and obviously the games, when you look at the Real Madrid squad right now, and you go from the defense up until the attack, and you look at every single player in the roster, I think there are some big talking points, but I don't think these two players that we're about to talk about specifically for today are massively big talking points. I think you look at the squad: Courtois, Lunin, you got Fran Garcia, you got obviously Mendy, Alaba, Militao, Rudiger, Asensio, Hoyson, Carvajal, Trent, Lucas Vazquez will be leaving, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Modric will be leaving, Ceballos, Arda Güler, Bellingham, Brahim, Rodrigo, Endrick, who we will be talking about today, Vinicius Junior, Mbappe, and then now you've got Gonzalo Garcia as well. I'm not sure I missed anyone out. A couple of youngsters. Jacobo Ramon is in there as well. Victor Munoz is in there as well. And obviously Franco Mastantuono will be joining in August. So overall, the squad is that. But the big talking points haven't really been about Mendy and Endrick. I think we have heard about new signings. I think we have heard about potential exits of certain players. But what is the future for Mendy and Endrick? And this is not a sort of, what will happen, because at this moment in time, I don't think Real Madrid, the club itself, the people working at the club, knows what is the future for these two. Specifically Endrick, but for Mendy, I think it's a very weird situation that we're in right now, and I'll explain why. So, let me just not continue yapping, and let me just get into it, right? Let me just get into it. So, Ferland Mendy. Now, we know Ferland Mendy, I think, is one of the best defensive left backs in the world. I genuinely believe when he is fit, when he is playing well, when he is playing, and he gets himself into a good momentum, a good run of games, defensively, he is brilliant. He is a brilliant defender. Going forward, there are questions about his capabilities, the crossing, just that overlapping, the wing play, does he have enough? No. I think if your aim is to play wingbacks more than fullbacks, Ferland Mendy just doesn't cut it in this squad. He's a versatile player. He can play at centre back if you really need to, but I don't think he has had fantastic performances, to be honest, when he has had to be play at centre back. But I think the sort of thing that we know about Mendy, and it's so unfortunate, right? Injuries. It's not about him as a player. Like I said, defensively solid, offensively he's lacking. but um, the effort, the work rate is there. But the problem is him and his body. Really, he's very injury prone, he's very fragile, and it feels like every season he gets at least one or two injuries that takes him out for a couple of months, right? And every team tends to have about two left backs and two right backs that can sort of rotate, right? We cannot be having Mendy going into the season and basically telling ourselves, let's go into the season with one left back and Mendy, who could play maybe 10 to 15 games, but might be out for 25 games. We just cannot be going into the season knowing that. And this is not something that has gone on for 1 year. It's been going on for a couple of years now. So it's a reoccurrence. It's a reoccurring theme of the injury. So I think it is about time we talk about that, and about time that we sort of discuss what is next for Ferland Mendy. Now, I think it's simple. I think, again, with Real Madrid, no players are untouchable, especially players that are coming into this age. If I'm not mistaken, I made a video a couple of years ago, maybe last year, maybe the year before, about Ferland Mendy, and that sort of window to sell him for not pure profit, but for a good amount is probably still there. I think he just turned 30 not long ago, about a month ago. So there is still a player there. And he's not obviously that old. 30 years old isn't too old. He is sort of past his prime age, but I still think he does have some value. And I think if Ferland Mendy is sort of listed onto the market, I could see teams coming in. I mean, could he make a return to France? I'm not sure France would be an ideal return. I could see him going to the Premier League. I think, Manchester United have always been a club that I've looked at that could suit Mendy well. But again, they're probably going to play wing backs, aren't they? So again, maybe Mendy isn't going to suit that too well, to be honest. But I don't know. I certainly think that, if AC Milan sell Theo Hernandez, could Mendy be a player they look at? Or maybe they have already looked at another player as their replacement. I don't know. But overall, for me, I think the key here is Ferland Mendy. We know his injuries. I just think that right now it could be a sort of waiting game in terms of, for Real Madrid, it's about getting the Alvaro Fernandez deal done. I think that is as clear as it gets. If we don't get Alvaro Fernandez, I'm looking at the other options on the market that are left, and I'm not really too, how to say, I don't really feel eye-opened by the remaining options. Milos Kerkez was a player that I would have loved. He's going to Liverpool. Theo Hernandez seems like he's going to go to Al Hilal, who have obviously just beaten Manchester City, by the way. Great job, Al Hilal. Congratulations on that. But yeah, I just don't know. But for Ferland Mendy, I think it could be his time over. I think the fact that he's 30, he's massively injury prone, and he'll definitely, even if he stays, right, even if he stays as a backup or a third choice somehow, right, he'll probably play 10 games at most, even though he's fit, right? But I don't think he'll even reach 10 game, because I just don't see him staying fit, to be honest. So I don't know. I think it's a very, very interesting situation. I think Ferland Mendy could be a player that we look out for Real Madrid to move on. And obviously, we'll get on to Endrick, but him not being there, not that Endrick has joined the team in the US, but for Ferland Mendy to not be there with Xabi Alonso, with the Real Madrid squad since day one, has hurt him. He has had 3 weeks or so, maybe 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of not just practice, of games, and all those stuff that he has missed out on. Basically, he has missed out on 2.5 to 3 weeks of getting to know the manager, getting to be able to learn the system, play the system, practice the system, and fit into the system. Ferland is starting to get more adapted to it. Mendy is still playing catch up. So I don't know what that does, what that means for Ferland Mendy, whether he'll be able to even adapt to this system. But I just think that this could be a sort of goodbye to Ferland Mendy, right? I just feel like it could be. But let me know what your thoughts are down below on Ferland Mendy. Again, I will never forget that goal line clearance against Manchester City a couple of years ago in the Champions League semi-finals. And yeah, I just think it's such a shame. He's one of those players that I remember we bought him in 2019, the summer. And it was the summer we got Militao as well, didn't we? But yeah, I mean, it was such a promising signing. I think back then he was still, what was it, 25, 26, and that potential that he could be a world-class left-back. He was already very good at Lyon when he was, coming into, 23, 24, and then at 25, making that big step to Real Madrid. And then I thought he did quite well for the first couple of seasons, and then injuries and injuries and injuries and injuries for the next 3 to 4 seasons. And now he's finding himself into a new environment because of a new manager and more competition and potentially, getting sold. So, yeah, very unfortunate for him. And I just hope that whatever the future holds for Ferland Mendy, I hope that Real Madrid fans just appreciate what he has done. I know he's not, obviously, nowhere near what Roberto Carlos or Marcelo has ever been, and I don't think he'll go down as maybe even a top 3, maybe even a top 5 left back for Real Madrid of all time, to be honest. But for me, I like players that, I'm not saying that we have got players who don't try, who don't give in their all. But I think with Mendy, apart from injuries that his body succumbed to, I really like him. I really, really did. I liked the signing. I liked him as a player. I liked just what he had brought. And honestly, looking back and his 5, 6, 7 seasons with Real Madrid, I genuinely believe that he has been a very good signing. I don't have any sort of regrets. I don't believe that he's a flop that people do. I think if you look back at what he has achieved and what he has done, yes, we have said many times what his game lacks, but what he brings, we don't talk about enough. We talk about how offensively he isn't good enough, but we don't talk about how good he is defensively. So, appreciation for Mendy there. But moving on, we've got Endrick. Now, Endrick is a very different story because, first of all, he's still young. I mean, this is a man who came in last summer, when he finally turned 18, right? And there were a lot of hype. Considering obviously we were finally gonna get that backup striker. Technically now it's not really a backup, although he always. I mean, he was a backup to Mbappe. But we were always going to see that sort of, how is he going to do, especially when he gets a couple of games, to figure it out. But it was very unfortunate that he was in not only Carlo Ancelotti's, I wouldn't say guidance, because I don't think the guidance from Ancelotti ruined his game time. I just think that it got to a point where in the season Ancelotti could not rely on the likes of Endrick and Arda Güler, and he had to go big, relying on Vinny, Mbappe, Bellingham, Rodrigo, the players that he knows are at that level, capable of carrying Real Madrid to wins. And Endrick wasn't really given much game time unless it was in the cup games, and he did well, he scored couple of goals, but the game time wasn't there. And he got injured towards the end of the season, and he has been out again, similarly to Mendy, for the last 2.5, 3 weeks now. Wasn't involved in the Club World Cup, and now he has just joined the team, the squad in the USA. But here is the problem for Endrick. If Endrick at this moment in time comes back as the backup to Mbappe, I think it's okay. I think the future still looks very good. But the problem here is that he has probably now lost that backup spot to probably Gonzalo Garcia. If we think about it, right? If what reports are saying are true, and I still believe Real Madrid need an experienced striker, that means that we have Mbappe, an experienced striker potentially, Gonzalo Garcia and Endrick. I don't think we need 4 strikers. I mean, what team needs 4 strikers unless you're playing 2 up front, which we aren't? And considering the fact that we have got the likes of Rodrigo still at the club, Mastantuono coming in, Arda Güler, Brahim, and Vinny Jr. as attacking options, we are gonna have so many stars in the attack. I'm just not sure what the future holds for Endrick, to be honest. Has he lost his spot to Gonzalo Garcia? Probably. I've been very impressed, and I think Real Madrid fans in general have been very impressed by Gonzalo Garcia. But that is the problem for Endrick. Not only has he missed out on 2.5 to 3 weeks with the team, but suddenly Gonzalo Garcia comes out of nowhere, takes his spot because Mbappe is also out due to technically injuries, and then he has proven himself with the limited opportunities that he has had. And do we believe Endrick would have had that same impact if he had played? I think that's up for debates. But overall, would he have been the starter if he was fit? Absolutely. Endrick would have been the starter with Gonzalo Garcia on the bench to figure out who will be the backup or who will be the third place, and he has sort of lost out on that. He has. So I'm a little bit concerned for Endrick in that case. Will he leave on loan? I think we can never rule out a Real Madrid loanee going out on loan, especially the younger players. And even though they are big names in terms of the so-called young football world, in terms of the young teenagers around the world, some of the brightest talents, I think at Real Madrid, if you're not at that level in terms of not just your quality but also fighting for your spot, and you fall on the pecking order, then you have to start looking at the future and go, what's next? Am I going to stay here and potentially fight for a backup spot now? Because he would have wanted to fight for the starting spot, which was always unlikely to begin with anyways. But now it has gotten worse, and now he's fighting for a backup spot with Gonzalo Garcia. Plus, I think Gonzalo Garcia will be more happy to be the backup to not just Mbappe, but another striker who is more experienced. I don't think Endrick is happy to be the backup to not 1, but even 2 or 3 strikers. So if you have an intention to bring in another striker, and you are gonna, potentially try and promote Gonzalo Garcia for the long term to play with the first team, then my question here is, what next for Endrick? Will he go out on loan? Could he go out on loan to... I was thinking to myself, what happened if he becomes Renier, right? Comes in, goes out on a couple of loans, went to Dortmund, I think went to Girona, went to, I think, Mallorca probably, and then just went out on loan every single season and came back, and I think he's still in the roster. I think he's still, training alone or whatever. So I'm afraid that will happen to Endrick. I'm not... I don't think it will, but I'm not confident to suggest that it won't if things go out the way that they are right now. So I think Endrick, he's got very limited time to prove himself. From now, it's better late than never to be with the squad. But even if Mbappe doesn't start, which it looks like he will against Juventus, Endrick will probably be the third choice now still. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. I don't know what to make of this. But let me know what thoughts are down below on Mendy and Endrick. But I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Hit the button instead, subscribe to channels on already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.